Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. We are jumping straight into probably the most talked about event on the rugby calendar right now, the pool draw for the 2027 World Cup in Australia. If you want immediate, clear analysis on this, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now on Rugby Obsession. You won't want to miss what's coming. Our mission today is, well, it's laser focused. We are breaking down these 2027 pools. The results have already made huge global headlines, and we really need to unpack not just the tough routes, but why the press is calling this a lopsided tournament.
That word lopsided is everything, isn't it? That's the thesis for this whole discussion. Our sources immediately flagged that this draw has created a horror route for some of the biggest teams in the sport. And on the flip side, it's also created what some are calling the best opportunities in history for others, all just based on where they landed in the bracket.
Okay, let's get right into that drama. We have to start where the seismic activity is highest. Pool A, Australia, as hosts, they anchor the group, but the draw has given them, well, a blockbuster opponent.
An absolute blockbuster. They're generational rivals right across the Tasman, New Zealand, the All Blacks.
In the same pool.
It's just an incredible scenario. It sets up maximum pressure from the very first whistle. I mean, we're hearing that the very first match of the World Cup could be the Wallabies versus the All Blacks in Perth on October 1st.
Wow. So the tone for the entire 6 weeks could be set on day one.
Exactly. The stakes are immediately sky high.
And what's so interesting about Pool A is the contrast, because you have those two giants, and then you have tournament debutantes Hong Kong, China, alongside Chile.
You're right. It's a group completely split between two heavyweights who can't afford a single slip-up and two emerging nations who are just desperate to cause a massive upset. And that pressure, it doesn't just come from within Pool A. It's about what happens next. The quarterfinal. Let's look at Pool B. This one is headlined by the defending champions, South Africa, the Springboks.
Right, and they've drawn Italy, Georgia, and Romania.
On the surface, it looks pretty manageable for the backs, doesn't it? They've avoided another top-tier powerhouse.
It looks that way, yeah.
But what's fascinating is the recent history. The Books actually played two of these teams, Italy and Georgia, just last July. So while they have recent intel, so do their opponents. And you had to consider the current mood around South African rugby.
You're talking about the club form, right, in Europe.
Exactly. Our sources have been highlighting the challenges for their teams in the Investec Champions Cup. The commentary is all about how it's time for those South African sides to really show up on the road. That pressure, that expectation, it inevitably finds its way into the national camp's mindset, even with what looks like a comfortable draw.
So let's put it together. Pool A and Pool B. The bracket alignment is the key piece of information here for everyone listening.
This is it. This is the core of the horror route headline. If you connect the dots, the whole story of the draw is right here. If the All Blacks finish top of their group,
and South Africa wins their group,
then they are highly likely to face each other immediately in the quarterfinals.
A Springboks versus All Blacks quarterfinal, that is just brutal. It guarantees one of the top two teams in the world is out extremely early.
And that's why Dan Carter's verdict was so telling. He just said there's going to be upsets.
He thinks one of them might not even win the group.
He thinks the pressure is so immense that a slip-up in the pool stage is almost inevitable, because finishing second is arguably even worse.
A terrifying situation for the Southern Hemisphere giants. But let's shift north, because this is where that lopsided debate really comes to life.
Right. We're moving to the other side of the knockout bracket now, and it feels, well, decidedly less like a gladiatorial arena.
Let's start with Pool D. We have some history repeating itself here. Ireland and Scotland. They'll face each other for the third consecutive World Cup, joined by Uruguay and Portugal.
And it's not just the pairing that's repeating, it's the expectation, especially for Ireland. Because of where this pool sits in the bracket, the narrative completely changes for them. Our sources suggest this draw gives Ireland their best opportunity ever to finally break their World Cup hoodoo.
Because of who they can't play.
Exactly. The structure ensures that even if they win their pool, they cannot possibly face the winner of Pool A, say New Zealand, or the winner of Pool B, South Africa, until the semifinals at the earliest.
So their biggest historical hurdle getting past the quarters is now theoretically cleared of the two most dangerous teams in the world. That's a massive advantage.
It fundamentally changes the calculation for them. Their path just looks so much clearer than ever before.
It certainly seems less dangerous than the other side of the bracket.
Right.
But I have to ask, is an easy run ever really a good thing? Let's look at Pool F.
Pool F is another key part of this. It's headlined by England, who will face their old rivals, Wales. The other teams are Tonga and Zimbabwe.
And when you contrast that group with the scenario facing the All Blacks and the Springboks, you can see why people are calling it lopsided.
Absolutely. The word from our sources was that England felt smitten with what they see as an easy run through the group stage.
But does that easy run actually help a team? Or does it leave them undercooked for the intensity of the knockouts?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If England just sails through their group without a really tough physical test, are they actually ready for a quarterfinal against a battle-hardened team?
It's a risk. Complacency could be a real problem.
It's a fascinating strategic layer to this whole draw. The risk of being undertested versus the risk of peaking too early.
Before we zoom out, let's quickly cover the other two groups. Pool C.
Right. Pool C has Argentina and Fiji, along with Spain and Canada. That Argentina-Fiji game is always fireworks.
It's more than just a spectacle, though, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. Argentina has become much more structured, while Fiji's flair is just off the charts.
Yeah.
The winner of that pool will be a serious threat. They'll be ready to challenge anyone from the Northern Hemisphere pools in the quarterfinals. So that is a huge game.
And finally, Pool E. This one is anchored by France, Les Bleus, who are up against Japan, the USA, and Samoa.
France is the clear favorite there, but, that's a very tricky group. You've got Japan's high-tempo style, Samoa's sheer physicality, and the USA, who are hosting in 2031 and will be desperate to make a statement.
So no room for complacency for France either.
Not at all.
Okay, we've mapped out the pools, we've defined the lopsidedness. So now I want to turn to you, the listener. Which teams do you think got the luckiest draws? And who is facing the most brutal path to the final? Share your immediate thoughts with us. And as always, please make sure you subscribe to Rugby Obsession and drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to keep this conversation going.
And that leads us right into the wider context.
Yeah.
Because the current form of these teams just makes this draw even more dangerous.
We mentioned the pressure on South African clubs. What about the All Blacks? They're the ones staring down that quarterfinal collision.
Well, looking at them, there's a lot of instability. Recent analysis of their backs highlights it perfectly. Sources rated Cam Roigard as the clear standout player, a sign of a bright future. But, at the same time, there's real concern that veteran Rico Ioane's test career could be in the balance after a decidedly mediocre year.
That's a huge internal pressure point, trying to integrate new stars while your established players are struggling with form, all before heading into this nightmare pool scenario.
Exactly. It just shows that the Giants are not running smoothly right now. They have to fix these internal problems while facing the toughest draw imaginable. It's a recipe for major drama.
A perfect, volatile snapshot of the landscape. And that brings us to a final thought.
It does. Because there's another layer to this, moving beyond the pitch. The sources we looked at mentioned deep concerns of a potential civil war during the 2027 World Cup.
A civil war. Can you elaborate on that? What are the tensions there?
The tension is all about global governance. It's about revenue splits between the big nations and the Tier 2 nations and the huge fight over the future of the global calendar. The Civil War refers to the potential for these major unions to clash openly over money and control right in the middle of the World Cup. It's the established powers versus the rising nations.
So the drama isn't just on the field, it's in the boardrooms.
Precisely. So the final thought for you to consider is this. What is the tonic? What is the solution to stop this kind of off-field political battle from overshadowing the amazing competition we've just laid out? How can global rugby make sure the focus stays on the sport and not on boardroom fights as we head towards 2027?
A lot to think about. On the field with that horror route and off the pitch as the countdown begins. This draw has given us plenty to debate for the next 3 years. For all the analysis on the Rugby World Cup draw, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now on Rugby Obsession. And with that, thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we'll look forward to you listening to our next episode.